Talk about the sort of the controversy and the heated, contentious topic of, um, getting the let's call it the medicine, the injection. And this is something I've been leery of despite being a physician for the last year, I would say, since the vaccines came out. And I have two episodes that I think everyone should listen to, and this comes from two casters that I trust their scientific opinion probably more than anyone. And I would say they speak at the level of maybe an undergraduate biology, immunology level, but I think anyone can benefit from listening to. First would be Peter Attia, who in May or June did a podcast with Dr. Offit, and one of the kind of great explanation of the four or five types of vaccination strategies, and this will quell all the fears that a lot of people have of getting the vaccine. And I think the issue with me was I never thought that the vaccine would necessarily be harmful. It's really the incentives and the perverse things that people are being offered with this, and I think it's the loss of freedom, and it's the idea that people with a less than 0.1% chance of hospitalization are being forced to take a vaccine in their employment and military and something like that. And if they're physically fit and healthy, it's probably much, much less. Like in my age cohort, it's a 0.08% chance of hospitalization in the 30 to 39 group. And if you're physically fit, you're in excellent metabolic health, you're greater than the 90th percentile, I mean, you're probably way less than 0.1% hospitalization. So then you have to balance that with the side effects of the vaccine, which we know about, and which are less than contracting the virus itself. But then you would say, well, look, I mean, I may not contract it at all, so I still have to deal with the vaccine side effects, blah, blah. And I totally get that. But what kind of made me switch, and I'm a freedom type person. I'm call it a take responsibility type person, and something like that, for your own self, for your own health, for your own finances. And kind of what swayed me is these two folks. So you have Peter Attia, and I recommend listening to that podcast. And I also recommend listening to Rhonda Patrick, who just, I believe, 3-4 weeks ago, we're now in October 21, came out with another podcast. Again, quelling the fears. Personally, I've had over 20 vaccines consisting of probably over 30 shots. And of course, those were ones with decades of research, not like the current one. But then, so for me, it was a risk-benefit analysis, and it was never about that I thought the vaccine would be harmful or make me grow two heads and all that. I mean, there's 40 to 70 cases out of a million, I think, for myocarditis, which you're in young people, which I would argue that in your 20s and 30s you're considered young, and then you have to sort of balance that with it's going to be higher chance to get that if you actually get COVID, but then you may never get it. So I think I trust these two people, and I think they can explain science of all kinds. They were almost forced to do the vaccinology, immunology discussions, but they are more longevity, sauna, exercise, nutrition, pharmacology type people, which I think people at an MD level, such as myself, PhD, or even just interested people can benefit from listening to them. But they were kind of pulled into the vaccine discussion, and what's it called? But I think they present the best case, and these are two researchers, scientists. Rhonda Patrick is a PhD, and Peter T, of course, is an MD, and they present a very nice, coherent, logical argument. I wouldn't advise anyone to get or not get any kind of vaccination, but I think as far as the unfounded fears or what you think it is, and then the more you think about it, I'm having trouble believing that these people who are very self-preservationists, they're almost narcissistic to the point where they would preserve their own life. If these two are getting a vaccine, it's kind of a messed up way to look at it. But if these two Silicon Valley type multimillionaires are willing to get a vaccine and they're so self-preservationist, probably they're a hell of a lot smarter than me. Probably there's not a big conspiracy theory to kill off 80% of the population. Just my thought. So like I said, I would recommend Rhonda Patrick's. I think if you just search for Found My Fitness on YouTube, or her podcast as well, and it's the second to last podcast that came out. I'm going to say September of 2021. And then Peter Attia's Dr. Paul Offit, again, which I'm re-listening to right now. I think that one came out in May, and it just further solidifies the fact I'm in two professions that basically would be very, very hard. If I wasn't, I would actually not take this particular shot, because I'm healthy, I'm metabolically healthy, and my risk is very, very low. But what kind of made me not want to stir the pot and not basically get into a point where I'm going to be chastised and hated by my coworkers for the next year and a half while I'm under contract. So I went ahead and basically had this administered, not because I would have chosen in the beginning, but these two podcasts definitely helped. Definitely did help. So as I said, for those kind of on the fence or just want some more information, I would recommend these two podcasts. And if anyone wants to discuss, I'm welcome to it. And I'm gonna eat this pizza right now. And I hope everyone has an awesome rest of the weekend here, and have a blessed day.